everybody. This is Noel Pulanco with HomeQwik, and it's been a while since I did one of these quick chats, but I met Alden and James in a recent BNI meeting a couple of times, and I really wanted to introduce you to what they're doing because it's a different type of real estate that I've ever done and different kind of property management I've never done. But I want to introduce you first. Alden, go ahead and say hello.
It's Alden Guajardo, Vice President of Wynn Mobile Homes. We are a licensed manufactured home dealer. We buy, resell, remodel manufactured homes throughout Maricopa County, primarily focusing on 55 and older, offering a seller carry finance program to lifetime renters, people wanting to live in Maricopa County full-time, or second homes and things of that nature.
Well, that was a great intro. And then James is on the phone. He may have to step in and out, but James, you're Alden's father, correct?
Correct. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. And how did you guys come up with this strategy to get into the real estate game?
Well, I've been, my family, we have a couple generations going back of real estate investors, and we were looking for about 2016, 2017, we were looking for an alternative to the real estate market that was cost effective.
Sure.
And we ultimately settled in on giving a try of looking at and doing the business of manufactured homes and parks, which is technically the solution for low cost housing in the market and really across the country. If there's mobile home parks, market pricing for regular single family homes, even rentals, as well as the sale of single family homes has gotten so high, it's left a lot of people with a real problem of just basic living. So that's how we kind of stepped into it. And our main goal is to help provide essentially low cost housing and pride of ownership for people that wouldn't normally be looking at single family homes or a living environment of that sort. So I'm kind of rambling here for a second.
No, you're okay. So it's great that you mentioned it kind of across the country, because I've been in investment real estate and helping investors acquire single family homes and condos and such for about 16 years. And when I first started doing this, the market went absolutely crazy and ballooned, and we broke the ceiling here in Phoenix the first time. But back then, I remember reading books like Robert Kiyosaki and some of these other investors, that one of their biggest things was mobile home parks and mobile homes because of their affordability on the front side and just their easeability for rentals. Now, just in Phoenix in the last few years, if you're around here and have been trying to buy anything, it's crazy expensive to buy. It's crazy expensive to rent. So the good news is the rents are way up, but you're right. I think we're really running out of affordable housing where people can to just have a decent job, aren't making $100,000 a year, but can easily still afford to pay rent and keep good care of a house. I mean, you guys tell me from your experience, Alden, the parks that you're buying in and the product that you're buying, I'm assuming it's not in the hood, right? I mean, these are decent parks and good quality units.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is me and you and everyone we talk to, they drive by the parks every day of the week and pay no never mind to them. We didn't end up, having the thought process we have until we got into the business. There's a wide variety of manufactured home communities throughout Maricopa County that are their little sleepy little destination spots.
Sure.
That, a lot of them are primarily 55 and older. So it's safe. It's not in a bad area. They're in all the major areas other than North Scottsdale. So that being said, them being gated and us doing business in those specific communities for a number of years, we've come to realize that, they're definitely a solid product in a solid community, safe area, with lot rents ranging from $850 to $1,000 for a quality community.
Okay. So, I mean, just like if I was helping an investor, shop for a single family home, it's always location, location, location. So a good neighborhood is a good neighborhood. Just off chance, I drove to the Renaissance Fair yesterday, and going through Mesa and AJ, you see tons, and I know there's a bunch of 55 plus on that side. But I live on the west side over by Arrowhead, and there's some nice looking mobile home parks. Really nice, a couple of them just off of Union Hills. I know there's a few in Peoria that, I mean, to me look great from the outside. Now, I haven't been in much of them, but I assume that they're great rental properties, and 55 plus, we know what that attracts, but there's ones that don't have that age limit that probably attract families and such as well, right?
Sure, yeah. So we've come into a couple communities in Tempe and West Mesa of all age manufactured home communities. So, you know, they're definitely out there, a little bit harder to find, needle in the haystack. But, you know, we've come across a few that are definitely of quality. It's definitely something of conversation in all age communities as far as quality, because as we get into that age bracket, obviously, you know, we're dealing with a lower income, geosphere for that specific market. So it's definitely stuff to take into account.
Well, look, I've always liked 55 plus on a rental house. It can limit your potential. I always tell investors you're fishing in a smaller pond, but we know there's a huge retirement, population here. And with the housing go out of control, it made a lot of some of those 55 plus single family homes, I mean, that much harder to obtain. And you and I talked about this in person the last time. I mean, something about 55 plus, they're probably not going to be doing nearly much damage. They're probably going to keep it clean. They're not having frat parties. You might get the cat lady, but we talked about the cat lady. She might stay 10 or 15 years. So all of those things are great. They may not be able to do as many of the hands-on repairs themselves, but also they're not really causing damage. So, you know, I always look at the bulletproof ability of a property to stay in good shape for long-term. And I would assume on these 55 plus, we're not seeing 1-year leases, then they're out, then you're turning the property over again. I would assume they're multi-year leases in most cases.
Right. Yeah. So the great thing about 55 and older, and I'm glad you brought that up, is the individuals 90% of the time are on a guaranteed income basis.
Right.
So opposed to us banking on the buyer having a solid job and knowing that they're going to be a good payer over the years, that kind of gets out the window as they're on Social Security, they receive disability, or they have a pension. And unless we, fall as a country or something like that, they're definitely getting their money. The last thing that a 55 and older individual is going to do is let their housing go. They'll let their credit card go. They'll let their car go. They'll pay their house payment because that's their last leg to stand on before possibly going to assisted living or something like that.
Well, and they're not worried about the credit card company chasing them. Ultimately, they'll pay them dead last, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and I think that guaranteed income is a great point, because that's one of the number one things I look at if I'm qualifying a tenant, is how much do they make and how do they make their money? So if somebody's moving from out of state, I want to know that they've got a job in the same industry, they've got some money in the bank. So income is one of the number one things. So you hit the nail on the head with that guaranteed income on those retirees. So talk to me a little bit about what the strategy is for you guys. So if I remember from our first conversation, you're not really trying to flip mobile homes to people just for straight up sales. You're really trying to help them get in basically like a partnership, right?
Yeah, so essentially, opposed to offering a long-term lease to an individual, we find a consumer, we pre-qualify them, and they buy the manufactured home out from under us. The way that works out is we seller carry finance that product at a 14% interest seller carry finance rate as a convenience option for the consumer who wants to buy the house. They fully intend on doing it, and the payment ends up matching market rent. As far as when they purchase, they put a down payment of around $10,000 and they pay virtually market rent to own that manufactured home. So we finance for a period of like 10 years as a benchmark to one, make the payment affordable, for the consumer who was going to have to move somewhere anyway, and two, piggyback off the market rent in that area. The saying goes, why rent when you can buy?
Right.
So we're capitalizing on that market in particular that really hasn't been general availability to the general market, because 90% of the people we talked to, they thought that they couldn't even get a loan on these types of deals of leased land manufactured homes. They're out there, it's just harder to capitalize on.
Well, it's a niche market too. You got to kind of know where to look and where to go fishing, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's, I've done, standard real estate sales for a long time, but I'm sure there's ins and outs of buying these and figuring out the land lease and getting into the park and all of that stuff. So that's a great deal for somebody that wants to buy for themselves, that's priced out on buying a home that they want to live in. So that's a great option. But again, as we started, talking about tenants a little bit, how can investors get into this game that might be priced out on trying to go out and find a decent neighborhood single family home?
Absolutely. We are offering a somewhat of a partnership strategy for an individual to come in and place a capital commitment with us, in particular on the seller carry finance side. So we have consummated deals over the past couple of years, as well as creating new seller carry finance notes at that return. We're creating every month. So an investor opposed to committing, $400,000 to a residential property, they can invest a fraction of that number into a consummated seller carry finance note and earn that agreed upon return, and opposed to having to take phone calls for the toilets, the disposals clogged up, the washer's not working. We've created an owner. They take care of all of yearly maintenance. There's no management fee potentially. So at a fraction of the cost of creating a long-term residential real estate rental, we are seeing vast success and velocity in creating the seller carry finance note and having an investor piggyback with us and make that high return.
Awesome. So for instance, a standard investor deal on a $400,000 house, they got to do 20% down, improve the rents. That's $100,000. So if I was going to use $100,000, I might be breaking even right now with rents versus payment on a $400,000 house. If I spend $100,000 with you guys, am I getting into one rental? I'm assuming most of these cash flow at least a little bit, because it's more of a cash flow play. But is $100,000 going to get me into one? Is it going to get me into two? I'm sure it all depends on the deal itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, essentially, let's say on like a $50,000 commitment into a seller carry finance note, typically we're trying to sell about half of that note in particular to become a partner in that deal long term. We want the long term income as well.
Sure.
So we've talked about selling whole notes. We're open to doing so, seeing as they are a premier performing manufactured home seller carry finance note. We don't believe it to be hard to sell 100%, but we do want the long-term income as well. So like just as a round estimate, let's say a individual wanted to commit a $50,000 commitment, over a 10-year period, principal and interest payments would be around $770 a month.
Okay.
So, grab a calculator, check it out, see what that looks like. And, that's kind of ballpark of what that looks like. General.
Well, what you're telling me is for $50,000 in, you could be cash flowing a couple $100 a month.
Yes, correct.
Or you could throw $100,000 into a house, hope that it appreciates, but you're probably breaking even for a few years with these rates.
Right. So this is a 30-day cash flow program. We take a partner commitment on a specific manufactured home seller carry finance note, and within 30 days, that individual is cash flowing with us from that consummated deal. That's already been third-party serviced, contracted, everything's been set up. So
awesome. Well, I think it's a great opportunity for investor. It's a great opportunity for just a buyer that wants to do a lease purchase style deal to get into one of these. James, I know you're the old veteran here. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to the convo?
He might have just blipped out there.
Well, he's gone, but that's okay. So we talked about the interest rate a little bit. Obviously, it's a good opportunity for a buy and hold for an investor. Tell me a little bit about sourcing. I know that you've got specific neighborhoods that you're looking at, but like, what is the time frame if you had? Again, I mostly work with investors, so I know for realtors out there, this is a great option if you're having trouble with a buyer that can't find a house. But tell me a little bit about sourcing. You've got some stuff available now. What if somebody comes in and needs you to shop for them? Tell me a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so we are a fully licensed manufactured home dealer. So we do have a listing platform as well as Win Mobile Homes inventory that we've bought, remodeled, and have for sale on the regular market. A lot of our sourcing has come from word of mouth over the past 4.5 years. On the buy side, as we've become a known individual in the Maricopa County for these types of deals. So we get referred a lot of distressed manufactured homes in need of a lot of work, as well as Facebook Marketplace and such for our sales.
Okay.
So we're buying from a lot of referral-based network. We're selling on Facebook Marketplace and word of mouth as well. And then having a listing platform for if they don't want an immediate cash offer and they're wanting market value, we have about 4 or 5 agents that we're trying to grow as far as a platform for listings that can take your property as a listing, list it for sale on the regular market, and hopefully get an end user within a reasonable amount of time.
So you've got opportunities for buyers that want to get into a seller carry. You've got opportunities for investors, and you've got opportunities for sellers, it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's awesome, man. Well, this is just a quick chat, so I don't want to keep you too long.
Sure.
But as you guys have seen, Alden's info has been scrolling on the screen this whole time. What is your preferred way to contact? You want to go to the website? You want them to call you?
We're full proponent of just get them on the phone more than anything. We like to have an in-person interaction over the telephone to be able to cut through the bushes and get to the chase and get some questions answered and maybe find a deal for you.
Awesome.
That's at 602-888-CASH.
So give them a call, guys, to get the better details that I can obviously give. But also check out their website. You can see some of the in-house stuff that they've got available right now. Alden, I really appreciate your time, and I hope that I can bring you some deals here soon. We'll talk to you soon, man. All right?
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Appreciate it.
Thanks.